Am I the asshole for wearing white at my blind cousin's wedding? I'd like to start by saying that me and my female cousin, who's blind from birth, aren't very close, but we get along well as relatives. She's 26 and her wedding was last week. She sent me an invitation, though we don't talk much, but since I wanted a break from work, I decided to go. My favorite color is white. I have brown skin. I love wearing white because it brings out my skin glow and makes me feel comfortable and confident. I purchased a maxi white dress, nothing fancy, but goes well with my skin tone, and wore it at the wedding. There wasn't a big party with many guests, but sort of family dinner and small celebration. I really thought no one even noticed I was wearing white. My cousin and her husband didn't know because obviously no one told them, but my aunt kept giving me uncomfortable looks the entire evening, and so did my other cousin. Once I decided to leave, my aunt pulled me aside and berated me for wearing this color at her daughter's wedding. She said just because her daughter is blind doesn't mean she's stupid and doesn't know what's going on around her. Basically saying I brought negative energy and disrupted the celebration by having guests notice, by extension, my cousin as well. She gave a lengthy lecture and asked if I hate to see her daughter happy and whether I pulled this stunt because my quote-unquote blind cousin got married before me. I was like, whoa, calm down. None of this was true. I just wore my favorite color and didn't do it because my cousin is blind and wouldn't notice. And married before me? I never thought of that. I argued with my aunt for trying to dictate what I wear because she defended herself, saying I was a guest and should have respected the bride. I left feeling very upset and exhausted from that encounter. My boyfriend said he believed I used the fact that my cousin is blind to wear white, but this didn't fly with her family. He pulled the "I told you so" line and said I just made my family hate with that stunt. Even though he knows I always wear white, but he warned me that if my cousin found out, there's going to be some issues. He suggested I get ready to apologize, but I really see no reason to apologize since I chose to wear a comfortable color that I feel confident in. Edit. What the F? I'm seeing some angry folks here getting too upset over this matter. I honestly never cared about this stuff, but obviously a lot of people do. I just think it's ultimately my choice to wear what I want wherever I go, especially since I wasn't taking any part of the wedding, but seeing how many people care about minor stuff like that, then I guess I didn't think this through. So, am I the asshole? Am I the asshole for firing my cleaning lady for cleaning? I've had my cleaning service for roughly 3 years as my husband and I routinely work 12 plus hours a day and are often sent away as well. Since the beginning, I've had a strict rule of do not clean the living room ever. This is due to me keeping a very elaborate aquarium, 1,300 gallon reef, and cleaning products used near it can kill my fish. Because of this, I am the only one who cleans the living room. A few days ago, I noticed a few of my fish seemed to be breathing heavily, and a lot of my coral was closed up. This is a very well-established tank, and it's been running for the last 7 years. So I immediately knew something was wrong. Most of my fish are just as old as the tank, and I've had very little sickness happen at all. Fortunately, my setup allows me to do massive water changes, and I was up until 8 a.m. changing probably 80% of the water. Despite my best efforts, I lost a lot of fish. Seahorses had their own section of the tank, rays, various tangs, but the losses that hit me the hardest were my Moorish idols and a 6-foot tessellata moray. My entire tank was set up for the idols specifically. I spent over a year preparing for it before I even got them. My moray, Bill, I'd had since he was under a foot long. I hand-fed him all of his meals. While I was trying to figure out what could have possibly caused my tank to crash, I noticed that the living room was clean, spotless, even. And I knew what happened. Chemicals got in the water and killed almost everything. I immediately called my cleaning lady and lost it. telling her that she had one thing to remember, one, and it shouldn't have been possible to forget, seeing as the reason took up almost an entire wall of my house. She told me she'd hired a new girl and must have forgotten to explain to her that she wasn't supposed to clean the living room, and continued to ask if she'd done a good job. I replied that she'd done such a good job cleaning. She cleaned out my tank's inhabitants and told her she wouldn't be returning to my home and she wouldn't be paid for the week. She didn't take that very well and started threatening to bring me to small claims because the job was still done and done well, apparently. I basically told her to kick dirt, and she's lucky I'm only firing her and not suing her due to thousands of dollars I'd lost due to her mistake. Everyone keeps telling me they're only fish, just buy more, or she was just doing her job. I'm sure the poor girl feels horrible. Maybe I'm just letting my anger and me being upset cloud my judgment, and I'm being unreasonably harsh. But I loved those fish. They weren't just fish to me, and I loved them all very much. So please, am I the asshole for firing my cleaning lady for cleaning? Am I the asshole for refusing to make my niece's favorite meal every time I host my family for dinner? I have a niece who is 7. Sometimes I have my family over for dinner, and they all return the favor. The one stress about it is my niece. She is a very picky eater, and my sister never wants to go through the motions of figuring out what she'll eat or trying to coax her to try something different. She expects us to make a separate meal for niece, McDonald's-style fries with garlic chicken tenders that need to be homemade, and a homemade sauce and tomato-stuffed pasta. One time, I just made it for everyone, but the complaints were it wasn't great for a family meal. My sister, Leah, told me to make it just for my niece. I said I didn't want to make 2 separate meals. So, while I make sure I always have some fries served, I won't go out of my way to make 2 meals. Leah is pissed and said I should have been more accommodating. That wait until I have a picky kid and then I'll see. I said she could bring food to my house for my niece, but I'm not going to slave over 2 separate meals. My parents think I'm being reasonable since they're tired of doing the same thing. So does my other sister, Katie, because even when she tried to do just the pasta before, it wasn't good enough. I guess I kind of feel bad that she only eats fries at my house, but I feel like it's unfair to ask me to cook 2 different meals. And the sauces she likes are so specific too. Same with the garlic tenders. Am I the asshole? Am I the asshole for telling my son that I'm gay? I, 25 male, had a kid when I was 14, when I was still figuring out that I was gay. I came out a month later, and luckily my family was very supportive. But the girl and her parents hated me, and they're pretty homophobic and only allowed visitation and basically threatened me not to tell my son I'm gay or to bring boyfriends around him. Well, he's 11 now, and I've been in a long-term relationship for 3 years now, and he's started to ask questions about why I'm not with his mom or why I'm constantly spending time with my boyfriend and hopefully soon fiance, Sam. So Sunday, I finally just told him because I'm tired of having to lie to my kid all the time. Well, last night his mom found out he knew and basically called and cursed me out on the phone and said he was too young to know and I should have had to talk to her first about it, and hung up. Am I the asshole?